Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming. Guys, big announcement. Big announcement. I was going to wait till later in the show, but I'm not going to be able to contain my enthusiasm. This is just too important. We're going to change the world. You know what I think the internet needs? A superhero. So starting today, just in time for Christmas, John Campea NFTs for just $99 a piece, ladies and gentlemen.
We're getting paid!
You can see me on the body of a Barbie or of a cowboy. It's going to be just awesome. Buy 20 for your friends and family. Anyway, guys, good to have you guys here today. Joining us here in studio, of course, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Wait till you see his NFTs. Right beside him.
Oh, God.
They're good.
We got Chris Carr. Sitting back there, of course, is Ray Ora. Right beside Ray, running the show here today, is Jonathan Boyko. And beside Jonathan, of course, is Taylor. And most importantly, guys, you are here. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our show today. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it down into two parts. In the first part of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. When we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. Then you'll have just a couple of minutes to fire in your thoughts, theories, opinions, or questions, and we will address those in the last part of the show. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. Want to let you guys know that in case you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news, there's the audio-only version known as the John Campea Show podcast. Just go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice, search for it, and subscribe to it today. And also let you know, I think it's this week, right? 1923 starts this week, and I will be doing a 1923 after show, but it will only be on the after show podcast feed. It won't be up on the YouTube channel. It's going to be audio only. So if you want to follow along and join me for discussions about the brand new Yellowstone prequel with Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford, 1923, it will be on the podcast feed of After Show. So just go and search for John Campea's After Show podcast and subscribe to that today. First episode goes up in the next couple of days. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys. Before we get started into the topics, I wanted to share something with you. This one's serious. I wanted to share something with you. Now, you guys know that every year we do the Adopt a Family, and we've got the new one that we're doing this week. You guys came through so big. I cannot wait to share with you the event that we're going to have. But you guys remember last year, our Adopt a Family that you guys and us, we helped out. It was a mother of 3 kids. Her husband had recently been murdered, lost her job due to COVID, lost her father and her sister. Terrible situation. Well, you guys saw the video. You guys know what an incredible impact you made on that family's life. Well, Ann and I got an email this year, yesterday, from that family that you guys helped last year. And they asked us to share this email with you guys. And they sent us this photo, updating us on the kids and the family. And this was the email that they sent. They said, "Hi, John and Ann. This is Renee. We were blessed to have you as to sponsor my family last year for Christmas. We were so grateful, and I thought about you, your husband, and all the people in your community who helped us this year. What a blessing you all were to us. Your gifts helped us extremely with rent, my car, beauty supplies, of course, that lasted the whole year. There has been ups and downs throughout our year, but God is good. Update, I found a job a couple of months ago. I'm the outreach coordinator for California Native Vote Project, and I'm now getting back on my feet. And the boys are getting big and still using their tablets. I just wanted to say thank you again and to let you know that we are now paying it forward this Christmas. We adopted 2 little boys to buy Christmas gifts for on this occasion in hopes that I can bring as much joy to this family as you did to ours. You are an inspiration and have remained in our prayers." And that comes to us from the family, of course, that you guys helped us adopt last Christmas. And we have another one coming this year, and I just thought it was really important to share that with you guys because I know we read it yesterday and we were all really touched by it. So we wanted to share that with you guys as well. All right. With that down, guys, let's get into a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And our first one is this. Now, you guys know that Margot Robbie, she's of course got Babylon coming out. That's not the one we're all talking about. The one we're all talking about, of course, is Barbie. She's got with Ryan Gosling, two good Canadian kids, Ryan Gosling and Shang-Chi himself, Simu Liu. Well, they dropped the first teaser trailer for it. It came out. Now, I don't know if it played in front of Avatar or not. Did this one play in front of Avatar?
Not in front of our show.
All right. Well, they dropped the first teaser trailer for Barbie. Now, look, Barbie doesn't come out for like another 6 months, a little over 6 months. So I suspected it wasn't going to be a full trailer. And certain enough, it isn't. It's just kind of a teaser. But it's brilliant. Conceptually, it is brilliant. If you guys haven't seen it, basically what they do is they take the opening. It's a spoof on the opening of 2001, A Space Odyssey, with the whole apes with the bones thing. And then, of course, in comes Margot Robbie as Barbie. It was fantastic. And then it ends the 1 minute teaser with a couple of quick flash shots of the movie itself. We get a quick glimpse, of course, of Ryan Gosling as Ken, as Simu Liu. We got a couple of looks at Margot Robbie. I don't know why. I'm mad at myself. I'm angry at myself for being excited to see this movie. But it would, again, conceptually, it was really, really smart. Like somebody knows their film history, decided to do so. Because like a lot of kids are going to have no idea. Kids who see this trailer are going to have no idea what this trailer was supposed to be. It's going to come across like a bad acid trip. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see this first teaser trailer for Barbie. What did you think about it?
Well, first of all, the people that made this teaser, even the backdrops, the landscape backdrops are right out of 2001.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was incredible.
It was really, really, really clever. I mean, I think it was a bit of a stretch what they're doing here, but it was pretty damn funny. And Kubrick's my favorite director. And watching this, I'm like, if you're going to reference anything, go for broke. Go for one of the great science fiction films of all time, 2001. And I also love the fact that if memory serves, Margot Robbie is dressed as if not the first Barbie.
Yep, from 1959.
Yeah, that was.
Was that the first Barbie outfit?
That was an amazing choice. So, there's a lot of wit even in this teaser. And if this is what they're leaning into, I never thought I'd say this, John, but I am excited to see the Barbie movie.
Yeah, I agree.
What can I say? And you've got Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig who wrote it.
Yep.
And Greta Gerwig directed it. And I think whatever we're going to get is, they're out on a limb. And I love it when filmmakers are out on a limb to see what they're going to give us. Because this is either going to be, look, I'm still a staunch supporter of the Josie and the Pussycats movie.
Hell yes.
That movie's awesome. And I don't care what anyone says. Watch it again. It's awesome. Maybe this could be my ultimate double bill. Barbie and Josie and the Pussycats.
How dare you, stupid pig, Josie and the Pussycats? That film is brilliant.
There's just, Anne got this. She said, we will call this Dumb Pig. And when somebody says something dumb, whether it's me, she expects it to be me more than anything else. We should Dumb Pig will chime in. Anyway, Chris.
It was a steering look at capitalism in the music industry. It was wonderful.
It was great. And there's a song called Backdoor Lover in it.
There is.
I know.
I had that soundtrack.
I know.
It was awesome.
Chris, in your delightful Christmas sweater, what did you think about the Barbie trailer?
Oh, I freaking love this. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I loved everything about it. When those little girls are yeeting their baby dolls into space, this movie's going to be so weird. I'm here for it. I hope they just lean into it being super, super campy, over the top, because that's what Barbie is. She's a queen. She's an icon. She's been an astronaut. Let her do whatever she wants in this movie. It's going to be a great time.
Taylor, you can look this up for me, but how many Oscar nominations does Greta Gerwig have? Because this isn't just some like, oh, it's a throwaway thing about a toy, a movie being made. This is literally being made by Academy caliber filmmakers and somebody like a director who has Academy Awards. Do we get a number on that?
I believe she has three.
Three
nominations.
Mm-hmm. And so this is being made by some heavyweight talent. So you know what? Sign me up. I thought the trailer was great. So I'm shocked and surprised and a little bit angry at myself for liking it so much. Question is for you guys. What did you think about the first Barbie teaser? Is it right what you thought it was going to be? Are you like, what the hell is this? Did you appreciate the 2001 homage like we did? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. Obviously we've been talking a lot the last couple of days about everything going on over at DC. You know, we've got James Gunn writing a new Superman movie. Henry Cavill has officially transitioned out. The exciting news that Ben Affleck is going to be directing a DC movie, although we do not know what it is yet. Rob, you seem to think it's Batman. I think there are several people think it might be a Batman film. But it did bring up the question. We heard James Gunn say previously that Superman is going to be, if not one of the most major, then maybe the most central figure of the upcoming DC universe. To which somebody then jumped on Twitter, and we can bring up my screen here if you'd like, Jonathan. Somebody jumped on Twitter and decided to ask James Gunn, well, what about Batman? Is Batman going to be a big part of the DCU going forward? Or, as many people have wondered, are they just going to keep him in Matt Reeves' universe? Because there has been some theories going around that Batman has been so successful. Some people thought they were going to bring Robert Pattinson's Batman into the DCU, and James Gunn killed that rumor, which I'm glad. That Batman is awesome, but it does not belong in the DCU. But some people have wondered then after that, well, maybe they'll just keep the Robert Pattinson Batman over there, and that'll be it. We won't have a Batman here. So somebody just straight up asked James Gunn, you know, is Batman going to be a big part? And James Gunn followed out, he is a big part of the DCU. And I'll tell you what, while I didn't really have any doubt that Batman was going to be a central figure in the DCU moving forward, the questions that have been going around are legitimate. Like with the huge success that the Batman was, Matt Reeves' Batman, maybe you just keep your focus there. Let's not pretend like maybe the Batman character itself, there's been some criticism that maybe the Batman character itself has been a little oversaturated, maybe used a little bit too much, some people feel. But I was very happy to read this, that, no, because look, as far as I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist when it comes to the DCU and DC, I think your heart and soul and the core of that universe must be the Trinity. It's got to be Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman to me. Now, of course, there's lots of room for lots of other characters to play big, important parts. But to me, those are the pillars that hold up Olympus. Those are the pillars. You build your story around those three. And to already understanding that he said Superman is one of, if not the foundational piece, to hear him say that absolute Batman is a big part of all this. Now I'm just waiting to hear him confirm that Wonder Woman is as well, because I think you got to have that as a part of the Trinity. But, you know, with all the upheaval and stuff like that, and my heart breaking over my boy, Blue, Henry, no longer being our Superman, I got to tell you, Rob, everything I've heard from James Gunn has been like, if we were all to create a fantasy scenario, the perfect way to go into DC in the future and to set up DCU in the future and the new DC. So far, he's saying everything I want to hear. Saying it's easy, executing it is hard. Let's see if he's actually able to pull it off. I trust him, but pulling it off is a different thing altogether. But I, at least in theory, love hearing what he's saying. You heard him talk about the Batman stuff. What did you think about it?
Well, like you, I think the Trinity is the core of the DC universe. What I'm more interested in is I really think that they're building a 10-year overarching storyline that is going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But it's also going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end for all the characters in themselves. There's going to be arcs for Superman, not just in each individual movie, but in an overall arc. I think that's going to be true of all the characters because they, for the very first time, can design all of this from the ground up. Now, it's going to require that these movies are actually good, but I would love to see them put some things in to play like Batman's Justice League Protocols, where he had contingency plans
for
to take
all
down
the Justice League
yeah,
members.
and he had to, and that's something that would get revealed because what that does is it creates a very legitimate conflict for Batman against all the other heroes, and then they have to reluctantly agree, you know. And then Superman asking, I think you brought it up, Batman.
Yeah, what's your contingency plan for yourself? You are.
Yeah.
That's one of the great lines.
Yeah,
that's truly great line.
Yeah, and that's one of the great, and to have all that, and to know that James Gunn is so steeped in the DC lore, they don't have to adapt things directly, but to use them as signposts, because the great comic book stories have already been laid out. So avail yourself of those, and I think that we're going to see that with all the characters, and that's what I'm most excited about, is to see someone like a James Gunn working with a Peter Safran and with all the filmmakers that they're bringing in. Why do you think they're talking to Ben Affleck? They're bringing him in going, look, I read your Batman Terminator script. It's great. And what would you do? This is the thing. They're because they have access to filmmakers. It's not a studio executives that's wondering who they should hire. It's filmmakers that already know who they want to hire, and they go in and say, here's what we're thinking. How can you fit into that? Because we want to work with you. So what they're doing is what they're doing? It's like putting together a great sports team.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're drafting players and they're getting ready to hit the field. This is their team building, and they're going to build a team from scratch that is designed to be the greatest team ever put together to make a universe. That are going to concentrate on characters and story first, that is going to be for the greater good of this universe, and every piece is important.
Chris, you hear about this. I mean, there's with so much going on in DC and so much more to come. James Gunn already teased that we're going to find out a lot more once the new year hits. What did your takeaway from this?
I mean, I feel like this is all stuff that we should have known was coming.
Right, yeah.
This is who you have at the center of your Justice League, right? Is these guys. Because while we are going to have all those fun tertiary characters come into play, I can't wait. James Gunn is going to give me Etrigan. I know he is. I know I'm going to get all the things I want eventually from him.
And then we can all rhyme.
Yes, it's going to be great. Oh, I'm going to love it. But, for right now, we have to start off with getting that core team in place and looking to those awesome stories like Tower of Babel, right? Using those kind of Mark Waid things to really build up a cool storyline over the next decade. I think they're going to follow the Marvel plan because we've seen how that works really, really well. But we're going to have a James Gunnian twist on things. So hopefully things get weird and wacky along the way, too.
I hadn't thought about it, but I love you brought up that whole storyline with the Batman. Who was the guy who discovered? Was it Vandal Savage? Was he the one that discovered Batman's plans and started to use them? In
the Doom animation adaptation, yes. But in the comic, is it Raj?
Maybe. Because then there was the Identity Crisis storyline as well that I loved, where I think that's the first time it's revealed.
In a video game, it's in this video game, it's the Doctor.
The Scarecrow?
With the
Strange. Not Doctor Strange.
Hugo.
Hugo Strange.
Yeah. It's Hugo Strange in the video game.
Okay.
But that's something you have to build up to. But that storyline,
it's so
cool. Amazing.
And and then when Batman puts into place all the OMAC stuff and the contingency, I loved all that. It was great.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? There had been some questions and some wondering about are we going to have just the Matt Reeves? Are we going to have James Gunn seems to put that to rest. The Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson one going to continue with its success, but we're going to get a new Batman and it will be a central figure in here. Shouldn't be a surprise to us, but hey, the questions have been lingering. What do you think about this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day, shall we? If you guys have a question for the show and you'd like to hear your voice on air here, go ahead and call us anytime at 951-268-4259. And you just might hear your message on our show. And today's about something going on with the Fantastic Four and maybe Austin Butler. Check it out.
Hi, John. This is Alan. I recently just saw reports that Austin Butler's agents are campaigning him to be the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movie. What are your thoughts on this, and do you think he would actually make a good Human Torch? Thanks. Love to hear your thoughts.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in. And of course, one of the biggest topics of conversation, since 2.5, 3 years ago, how long ago was that Disney Investors Day call? But ever since that Investors Day call, when they first officially said Fantastic Four is coming, one of the biggest pieces of conversation around has been the casting of Fantastic Four. I think, Kevin Feige has kind of said, we haven't cast the movie yet, but I don't believe that's true at all. I think he absolutely knows. I mean, maybe they haven't signed the final contracts, but he knows who is Fantastic Four, I believe. So anyway, a report has now come out that Austin Butler's reps are campaigning and advocating. Let's bring up that story, Jonathan. Are campaigning and advocating for their guy, Austin Butler, to be in the Fantastic Four, specifically as Johnny Storm. Let me address that first. Austin Butler, I think, is likely, if it was my vote, he gets an Academy Award nomination this year for his portrayal as Elvis. I didn't out of my mind love Elvis. It had some issues for me, but it's very, very good. It's very good, but none of those issues was Austin Butler. Austin Butler carries that movie, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is phenomenal in it, and I cannot wait to see his career as he evolves. I'm not sure I see him fitting well in a comic book movie, to be honest with you. Not to say that he couldn't. Maybe he could, and it'd be fantastic. So I don't personally really see him as Johnny Storm, especially since ever since Chris Evans kind of set the template, if you will, of the attitude of a Johnny Storm, right?
Right.
I don't know that that's Austin Butler, but again, he's a great actor. Maybe he could. My main thing, though, is this, because we had a lot of people write in and call in about this story about Austin Butler's agents. Here's the thing. Right now, X-Men and Fantastic Four are probably the hottest commodities right now that people are angling to get cast in. Not to mention, gone are the days when you couldn't get serious, real actors in comic book movies. That was a long time ago. Like, today, they know that's where the money is. That's where you become super popular. That's where you become front and center with the audience. That's where you make a lot of money. And guess how agents get paid? They get paid based on a percentage of what you make. So of course, Austin Butler's agents are angling for him to get one of the most hotly desired, well-paid, roles in Hollywood. Of course they are. But here's the news flash. 95% of agents out there right now are campaigning for their clients to get an X-Men or a Fantastic Four role. Not all of them. Not Leo DiCaprio's, although I'm sure his agents would like him to take that. That's a nice payday. But 90 to 95% of the agents and representatives out there are angling and campaigning to try to get their clients to sing. So to me, this is not really that big of a story. I mean, it's out there. I get it. If he were to get cast in it, he's a world-class actor. I would absolutely be all for it, even though he wouldn't be my first choice, but he's a great actor. All I can ask is that you put great talent in these roles. He's a great talent. So I'd be totally okay with it. But again, wouldn't be my first choice. But again, listen, guys, 9 out of the 10 actors you can think of off the top of your head, their representatives are pushing for them to get roles in the MCU, and in particular with Fantastic Four and X-Men. So it's that. Anyway, Chris, I'm sure your representatives are pushing for you to be in Fantastic Four and X-Men. So I don't know. What's your takeaway from this story?
Well, I'm so glad you brought it up, because that is what all agents do, right? I mean, you know about this. Logan read for Barry Allen back in the day.
That's
where
right.
He was being pushed for Flash. I've read before to be Lucy Lane. Like, they want you to get these roles. Agents only make money when you make money. So of course they're advocating for him to have this. I think he'd be great in this. We obviously first saw Austin Butler really, well, some of us at least, in Shannara Chronicles. So he's done fantasy and action and things like that too.
I like the Shannara Chronicles, by the way.
This was a fun show.
I
I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun and campy, and it was a fun time. However, I don't know if I see him as a Flash, or not Flash type, excuse me, a Johnny Storm type. But then again, I just haven't seen him play that kind of character, so I'm sure he's capable of it. Some folks in the chat were saying he'd be a great Oliver Queen. I could see that happening. That could be a good one for him, doing that instead, going over to that area of the comic book universe. I'm still pulling for Joe Keery for Human Torch. I think he'd be great. Steve from Stranger Things, he'd be a great Johnny.
Rob, you hear about this? What do you think? Could you see Austin Butler as a Human Torch?
Well, that picture we just saw of him up there on the red carpet, apparently, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I could see him that way because, look, actors, the fact that Austin Butler at first, remember there was a lot of talk before Elvis came out that he didn't look enough like Elvis?
Yeah. Which, who cares?
When you watch that film, though, he inhabited that role.
He becomes Elvis.
Yeah, and I brought up to you, like, when he's playing, I forget the character's name, but in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the leader of the Manson family.
Doing the devil's business.
Yeah, he was great in that, too. And I think that he could bring a certain, I mean, I only say rockabilly because Elvis. I don't necessarily think Johnny Storm needs to be rockabilly, but if he could have that kind of a rock and roll attitude, it could be interesting depending on how they want to go. And also, if, let's say we do find the Fantastic Four the quantum realm, I mean, he would be great.
He's a handsome dude. Austin Butler's a handsome dude.
As a vintage, like, 60s version of Johnny Storm, and have that sort of, that on the cusp from 50s greaser to 60s radical. I mean, he could be that too. I mean, look at him. That could be Johnny Storm to me. He could actually be Gambit too.
Oh, you know what? He's got a good Gambit look.
He's got a Gambit look, you know? Why
I can
not?
see that one.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you make of this story that apparently Austin Butler's agents are angling for him to get a Fantastic Four role, but I think all the agents in town are angling for their clients, including him. But could you see Austin Butler? I don't normally do, X actor, X role stuff, but that is the story right now. So I don't know. Could you see Austin Butler as a Johnny Storm, maybe something else? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we're going to go into our main topics here in just a second. But before we do, we want to take a couple of moments here and thank a couple of the sponsors of the John Campea Show here today. Our friends at HelloFresh, who we had dinner for them a couple times this week, which is awesome. And also the wonderful folks at MasterClass. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. It is the most festive time of the year, and HelloFresh is here to help make the most of every moment. From holiday hosting to dinners during busy weeknights, you can count on HelloFresh to deliver fresh ingredients and seasonal recipes. Because 'tis the season for saving money wherever we can. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery store shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. You can use those savings for holiday gifts or treat yourself. Guys, I've told you before that with Ann and I both being working professionals, finding time to prepare dinner together can be a chore, but HelloFresh has made it easy and fun for us to make our own meals, and most importantly to me, they're delicious. You will actually enjoy making dinner. So right now, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea18 and use the code Campea18 for 18 free meals plus free shipping. Once again, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea18 and use the code Campea18 for 18 free meals plus free shipping. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, MasterClass. MasterClass offers classes on a wide variety of topics, all taught by world-class instructors at the very top of their fields. Each class is broken out into individual video lessons, usually around 10 minutes long. And MasterClass is completely accessible on your phone, the web, smart TV, and available via audio mode to listen to classes on the go. They have over 2,500 video lessons from over 180 of today's most brilliant minds. They're all available anytime, anywhere on iOS, Android, desktop, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Roku. Now, obviously around here on the John Campea Show, we love our movies, so why not learn filmmaking from Jodie Foster, or maybe directing from Ron Howard himself, or the great Neil Gaiman doing his masterclass on the art of storytelling. And you guys have heard me talk about my favorite masterclass, Business Strategy and Leadership by Big Papa Iger himself, Bob Iger, the new and returning CEO of Disney. Guys, I highly recommend that you check it out. This holiday, give the perfect gift of an annual Masterclass membership and get one free. Go to masterclass.com/Campea today. That's masterclass.com/Campea. Terms apply. And thank you to HelloFresh and MasterClass for being sponsors of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you actually support us. So go down to the description of the video. You'll find links and the promo codes to all of today's sponsors. And thank you again to MasterClass and HelloFresh. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with our main topics. See, whenever you guys come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we must cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime, 24/7, over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes from Paul. Comparing the critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for the new Avatar film, it looks like exactly the same story. Most people loved it, some really hated it. And the reasons for their opinions is also the same as it was with the last one. I saw it myself this Wednesday and absolutely loved it. Have you seen it and what did you think?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And no, I didn't see Avatar: The Way of Water. Because AMC Now, look, I'm not going to get too worked up about it. This is the first time this has happened. But you guys can't see it here, but I will bring it up. So I have on my phone here my AMC app, and this is the app I use. I booked my tickets. Me and Ray. I booked my and Ray's tickets to go see Avatar: The Way of Water. And we were going to see it yesterday at 3:00. And I get in the car. Ray had already gone home, so I was going to go pick him up. I'm in my car driving over to pick him up. I'm at a stoplight, and I say, just let me double check my tickets. And I open up the My Reservations page, and it says, you have no reservations. I'm like, what? Steve Austin. What? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I pull over into a parking lot, and I'm like, I know I bought my tickets. I know I reserved my tickets. Oh, well, whatever. So I go into the app and I see like everything's sold out, but there were a couple of single seats. So I get me a single seat and I'll get Ray a single seat. But then the AMC app says, oh, you can't do that because you have an overlapping movie with that one. I'm like, yeah, that overlapping movie is the one I already got tickets for that you say I don't have. So I had no tickets, so I couldn't go to see Avatar: The Way of Water. Fuck you very much, AMC. Granted, I've been using their app for a lot of years. This is the first time I've ever had an issue like this. So but still, I got screwed out of seeing Avatar. So I didn't see it. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, somebody else who had tickets to see Avatar yesterday did have a chance to go see it. And that was one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. So Rob had a chance to go see it yesterday. Rob, this is the sequel to the biggest box office film of all time. There's been a lot of hype going into it. A lot of talk, obviously, visually, we're expecting something to be stunning. Anyway, you finally got to go see it. You've been excited about this movie. Did this movie live up to the hype for you? What did you think about Avatar?
Dude, I was blown away by this movie. I found this movie to be absolutely astonishing. An astonishing achievement on every level. Now, a lot of people have been criticizing me for saying this on social media already. They're like, well, Rob, you're always about character and story. And I'm like, look, I find the entire Avatar franchise now, to call it a franchise, I found it engrossing. I love the first film. I loved this movie. This movie is from a science fiction story standpoint. Now, if you're not going to buy into the world of Avatar, I get it. But I've talked about the idea of awe and wonder. I thought this was a really interesting extension on the Avatar universe. They bring up a lot of really interesting things, Earth dying, the different tribes, Awa, the goddess or god entity of Avatar, which I think that there's a direction that this whole franchise is going into. I sat there for 3 hours with my slack-jawed, watching this film. I mean, from the very opening, first of all, this is the best 3D ever done for a movie ever. And there were moments, and I was talking about this with Taylor, where there was rain falling, and you literally want to brush it aside because you think it might be dripping in the theater. I mean, the 3D is so great, and there's all of these really interesting science fiction concepts in the film. Sure, there's things you've touched on before, but by the time you get underwater, anyone who's scuba dived, if you've gone into tropical environments, whether it's Hawaii, the Bahamas, anywhere where the water is clear and you can see when you're underwater, the visual effects in this film, anyone who's going, oh, it looks like a screensaver, are idiots. They know nothing about visual effects technology. It is absolutely stunningly jaw-dropping what they're able to achieve in this film.
Now, you saw this in IMAX 3D.
I saw it in IMAX 3D. I would recommend everybody see it in IMAX 3D because that's it was optimized for IMAX 3D. And Elizabeth and I were just watching this, and you always talk about movies being experiential events.
Yes.
You experience this movie. It is a total experience. And yes, the plot, I can't help but think that if there were X-Wing fighters and Star Wars characters in these movies, nobody would have a problem with them.
Well, now hold on, because here's an interesting thing here. And we can go to my screen on this, Jonathan, but the critics clearly really like this film at 80%. The audience seems to love it because the audience is at 94% on this, which, with all the people that nobody cares about Avatar, nobody cares about this. Well,
No.
the audience coming out of it, I mean, there's only 14 percentage points differing between the critics, and they both like it, but the audience seems to love this
I mean,
movie.
there is real peril in this movie. And of course, they bring back villains in an interesting way, fascinating way. Dude, when this movie was over, there was a guy standing at the corner of the theater staring at the screen. The credits had run, the lights had come up in the theater, and I was one of the last people out with Elizabeth. And I'm just going, I'm like, honey, that was just insane. And this guy turns to me and goes, wasn't it? Like, he was just standing there in a trance. He's like, I've never seen any shit like that in my whole life. And I go, I know, dude. And we all walked out together, and there was his family, like his sons,
They
and
got in
his
the car with
wife,
each other. They just kept talking.
and his brother-in-law, and we're all standing in the lobby going, it was insane. Like, the whole thing was insane, and you can't. And I was just sure that the action in this movie, that there's a protracted action sequence at the end, and it does touch on the James Cameron greatest hits idea, but there's just shit it's just going on and on and on, and I'm like, I'm watching this going, And look, I honestly think that as I'm watching this movie, it struck me why people ask, why is James Cameron living in this world? What is it he's doing here? It is very apparent to me now that the Avatar movies are a testament. It's James Cameron's way of saving planet Earth. And
he's talked about that.
I don't mean that facetiously. You can't come out about global warming and talk about saving the whales and all this without it becoming a political issue. James Cameron is basically giving you a world that's going to turn out to be sentient. Pandora, Iowa is the whole planet's alive. No, they don't say that in the movie. They don't say this in the movie.
Okay.
This is just a theory I have.
Right. Okay.
That's why he produced Solaris with they remade Solaris with Steven Soderbergh. Solaris was about a living planet. James Cameron is drawing from all these different science fiction concepts, cloning and all kinds of stuff. And he's putting it together in a frothy mix because no one will listen to you when you start talking about saving the environment. What he's doing is he is creating a pop entertainment that everybody will go see and love, but it will bring everybody's awareness up. When you walk out of this movie, I'm telling you, you want to save the environment. You want to do your part. And I think that over the course of on one hand, he's showing somewhere else that humanity is dying off. And he's showing us, let's not do that to our planet. We could be living on Pandora if we are custodians of the planet. And I watch this movie and I got to tell you, there's shit in here I've never seen. And I know a lot of people, again, you have to be a romantic. You have to have some kind of sense of, there's so much awe and wonder in this movie. I'm telling you, man, I can't wait to see it again. I'm going to go see it in IMAX 3D tomorrow.
Taylor, you were actually the other one in the room who did see it. What was your impression of the movie? You enjoy it?
Yeah. Oh, I saw it at the AMC Burbank 16, and it was a madhouse there. It was nuts. The lobby was like overflowing with people. Even our theater, because it was the second showing of the day in the IMAX room, we had to wait like 20 minutes for them to finish cleaning out the room. And then they had way more trailers than normal too, but that's because they had the Oppenheimer trailer. They had the footage from Mission Impossible, which was, ooh, that made me so anxious.
Oh my God.
From the minute the movie started, like the first 15 minutes, my cheeks hurt, the cheeks on my face before anyone says anything, hurt from smiling so much because I just couldn't believe it. We were talking about this before we went live, the particles in the air.
Oh yeah,
And this is not a spoiler, but there's weather in this movie, and there's a scene where there's rain, and I was with David, and he flinched because it felt like the rain was in the room. It was just the most visually gorgeous movie I've ever seen, and that's including all 4 Shrek films. Like, this movie was beautiful.
Whoa, no, calm down. Calm down. Let's bring it down a couple of notches. Getting a little out of hand
see
now.
this again, and luckily I have tickets to see it again in IMAX 3D Sunday, and I know, but I just can't wait to like.
Are you sure you have tickets? Because I thought I had tickets.
dude.
This
The
was just so
underwater
gorgeous.
effects work, the creature, the fish design.
All right, we actually need to move on.
man.
But guys, the question is for you. Obviously, Rob and Taylor really enjoyed this movie. Again, a 94% audience rating coming out of this thing. Did you guys have a chance to see it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump on down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, with that down, let's move into main topic number 2, shall we? Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from David Onapudo. Hello, John and crew. For almost 5 years, they've been saying that Rian Johnson is going to be doing a new Star Wars trilogy of his own. And for almost 5 years, I know you've been saying it isn't going to happen. There's an article in IndieWire where for the first time, it looks like Johnson is admitting that the trilogy may not happen. What do you think of this? And is there a way it could be done successfully? Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in, David. And look, yeah, I have no problems telling you, I am a big Rian Johnson fan. I mean, the movies he makes are they're engaging. They pull you in. I am absolutely in love with his, I almost call it his Glass Onion cinematic universe, his Knives Out cinematic universe. I love these things. Man, I don't know. Glass Onion might even get one of those Best Picture nominations. I hope it does. Like, I loved it that much. He's fantastic. Now, of course, you can't bring up the name Rian Johnson within the first 10 seconds, somebody wanting to yell, what about The Last Jedi? Hey, listen, granted, Last Jedi is a movie I have problems with. Some things I really love about it, but I also have some big problems with it. It was a big, huge undertaking to do that. Plus, now we know he walked into that without there already being an overall plan for the damn franchise. And, so it is what it is, whatever. But right away, they start talking about how Rian Johnson was going to be doing a new Star Wars trilogy that had nothing to do with the Skywalker saga. It was going to be a whole new different thing, all new characters, new areas of the universe set in the Star Wars galaxy, right? And they've been talking about it for a long time. I mean, even recently he came out and said, yeah, me and Kathleen Kennedy is just talking about trying to figure out when to do it, because I got my next couple of years are booked up, but we're just trying to figure out when we're going to be able to do it. And David is right in the question, because I have told you guys for years, this ain't going to happen. There's no way this is going to happen. Nobody at Lucasfilm has told me it's not going to happen, but I'll tell you, there's no way it's going to happen. Because as much as I love Rian Johnson as a filmmaker, and I can't wait to see whatever he does next. I haven't seen his poker face thing yet, by the way. But anyway, I'm dying to see anything he does next. But the reality is this. You cannot do another Rian Johnson Star Wars anything without chaos erupting amongst the fan base. That's it. All it's going to do is re-spark the debate and the arguing and the trash talking and all that kind of stuff. And there is no way that Disney wants to go into a brand new Star Wars project where everything is just turmoil and everybody's arguing and everybody's bitching and everybody's fighting each other and all that that's the type of stuff that they're trying to get away from. And no matter what Rian Johnson does, Rian Johnson could make the greatest Star Wars film of all time, and it won't matter. It won't matter. And it's that kind of circus that you have to avoid. It's not good for Lucasfilm. It's not good for the Star Wars brand. It's not good for Rian Johnson. So that's what I've been telling for a long time. This ain't going to happen. And I think they know it's not going to happen. Well, for the first time ever, it kind of sounds like Rian Johnson is starting to introduce the idea that, hey, maybe this isn't going to happen. This comes to us from the folks at IndieWire. Rian Johnson was saying the following. There's nothing like telling a story in this world, the Star Wars world, and then experiencing people truly connecting to it and letting you know that. It's extraordinary. So I'm hoping I get to do it again, but nothing is the end of the world until the end of the world actually happens. It's just at this point a matter of schedule and when it can happen. Johnson said, it would break my heart if I were finished, if I couldn't get back in that sandbox at some point. So before, the verbiage was, it's absolutely happening. It's just a matter of schedule. Now it's, man, I hope I get to do it. It won't be the end of the world if I don't. Oh, it's going to be really heartbreaking if I don't. Listen, I think they have known for a long time. I think Rian Johnson has also known for a long time that this isn't really going to happen. But they have not wanted that to be the story. So I think they're very slowly, like drip theory, they're slowly tapering it into, it's not happening. And I think they know it's not going to happen. And by the way, Kathleen Kennedy ain't going to be there anyway. So he keeps saying that him and Kathleen Kennedy are trying. Kathleen Kennedy's not going to be there much longer after Indiana Jones comes out anyway. So yeah, I've been telling you guys for a while, this new trilogy thing isn't ever going to happen. Rian Johnson is now finally starting to give a little bit of acknowledgement that it's not going to happen. And I'll just look forward. I'll be really super excited to see what he does next and see what happens next with Star Wars. Anyway, Chris, you hear Rian Johnson's comments. I mean, David asks in the email, Is there a way this could still happen? Is it tangible? Is it practical? Or what do you make of his comments?
I mean, hope springs eternal. Maybe he could, because I really do think there were threads in Last Jedi that would have been really cool to explore if, another filmmaker followed through on some of them instead of going, no, I don't like it. I also just want to point out, the chat here right now is very polarized. I love when people say Star Wars fans would never allow Rian Johnson back in here. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm fine with it.
Then you're not. Because I say
apparently
everything
not.
is what
I'm
it
a
is.
fake geek girl who doesn't know what she's talking about.
People
There's
need to live in
different tastes for
reality.
different people, and a lot of people did like a lot of the risks and choices he took with Last Jedi, and some people didn't. I didn't like a lot of the stuff that happened in Skywalker, right? That wasn't my jam, but a lot of you did. It's all subjective at the end of the day. Rian Johnson is an incredible filmmaker, an incredible writer who's done really brilliant work. If he gets to play in here, I think that'd be wonderful. But honestly, I just love this guy's attitude so much. Because fans have been pretty toxic about his film, and he still is just like, hey, I like what I did, I love this world, and I'd love to keep exploring it, and if I don't, I totally get it. I think that's a really, really just kind of consummate professional right there. What a guy. What a mensch.
Rob, you hear his comments. Is there a way this could still happen? Could this actually be a possibility, or does it sound to you that Rian Johnson is slowly is the plan now unfolding to let the audience know slowly that this isn't going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Rian Johnson would even want it to happen. Like Zack Snyder, he's got his own gig now. He's over there, his own writer-director franchise, which is Knives Out. He's got Knives Out and Glass Onion since Last Jedi. Great deal with Netflix. Has financing to go make whatever he wants. Why step into... the thing about Star Wars is it's not just Rian Johnson as a filmmaker, it's Star Wars as a whole. Why would you want to step in there? Who's running that show? Where's that show going? If you're going to work on the TV side, I could say, okay, maybe you can do that. But I don't think, it's like other filmmakers have said, why would we possibly want to go in and make a Star Wars movie? What is it used to be a thing. It could have been a dream.
Well, Mission Impossible's Christopher McQuarrie, who I would have loved to have seen do a Star Wars movie.
Me too.
Remember, he came out and said, oh yeah, I look at that Star Wars fandom. I'm not going anywhere near that. Nope.
And
thank you.
I'll tell you something. I would much rather we're going to eventually have a quadrilogy of Christopher McQuarrie Mission Impossible movies. I think the world is a much better place with that quadrilogy than it would be with a Chris McQuarrie Star Wars movie. Because whatever happens, he and Tom Cruise, you've got a star and a director making stuff that's really cool and groundbreaking and fun. And I don't think that's possible with Star Wars anymore. The fandom, the studio... It would be very difficult to do something interesting. Thank God for Tony Gilroy. Whether you liked Andor or not, it was great to see an authorship, the vision of that. But I don't think this is going to happen. And I'll tell you something. I don't think Rian Johnson wants it to happen either. He's got better things to do. He's got bigger fish to fry that he created. His own unique. Benoit Blanc is his character. And they'll go make another couple of Benoit Blanc movies and have a good time doing it.
He's getting Academy Award nominations for.
Yeah, absolutely. So why not do that? What's really interesting is, as a fan base, I really hope that our vitriol and criticism doesn't make it so all we're ever going to get is AI-generated Star Wars stories. And that's coming. That's coming. Believe you people, we're gonna get stories that are AI-generated very quickly. And you think the studios aren't going to lean into that? They are. And I don't know where we're going to be.
What's
there.
really sad for me to see, because you mentioned, Chris, some people in the chat saying real Star Wars fans don't want him. It's one of the worst fucking things ever? Gatekeepers.
Exactly.
People who point themselves, you know what?
Unless it's about Star Trek.
Listen, whichever kid said, you're not a real Star Trek, guess what? I know and forgotten more about Star Wars than you'll ever know in your life.
Yeah.
And guess what? There are things in Star Wars I don't like. I hate the prequels. Right? Everybody knows I hate the prequels. But damn it, if you watched and liked the prequels, awesome.
Yeah.
I celebrate that. I hate them, but if you love them, that's awesome. Guess what? I love The Force Awakens. I love The Force Awakens. There are people who don't. If you don't, totally cool. That's great. I like things that you don't like. I hate The Rise of Skywalker. Some of you like The Rise of Skywalker. Great. This whole thing about gatekeeper thing, anybody who starts say you're an absolute fucking moron without saying you're an absolute fucking moron. You're not a real fan of this unless you just did it. I hate that. We all like and dislike different things. And guess what? You can be a Star Wars fan and hate parts of it. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan my whole life. They suck. I mean, they're pretty good this year. They're not bad right now, but they suck. But I am no less a Toronto Maple Leafs fan and have been my entire life. And what happened to just not liking a movie like Morbius? Morbius is terrible, right? Well, just say, hey, I watched Morbius and I didn't like it. I think this part was really bad and this part was really bad. But then it comes, well, then I couldn't even tell you who directed Morbius. I don't know. Whoever directed Morbius, they beat children and they're awful and they suck and blah, blah. Like, what happened just saying, hey, guess what? Making movies is hard. Mm-hmm. Making movies is really hard. And we as fans can look at a movie and go, wow, I thought that was terrible. I thought the movie was awful. Okay, great. Now let's move on. But the vitriol that has become a standard part of fandom about how, well, I didn't like that movie, and now we're going to do character assassination on anybody involved, and we're going to, like, guys, just get over it. Like, if you hate the movie, say you hate the movie, say why you hate the movie, and go, now God bless the people who made it, and whatever, maybe they'll do better next time, and let's move on and talk about other stuff. But this gatekeeping and all this kind of stuff, it's got to stop, guys.
They act like they're angry as if they funded the movie.
Yes, in which case, I would get it. If they actually cost you money, I would get that.
Well, John, I have a great love for what I like to say is the greatest low-budget Italian Star Wars ripoff of all time, which is, of course, Star Crash. It's not great, but I love it. I love it because there's more wit and verve and love put into that movie by the people that made it, Luigi Cozzi and his crew of people. And if you look at it, on the surface, you could go, this movie's terrible. The effects are bad, the acting is bad, everything is bad. I look at it and go, this movie is wonderful, and I love everything about it because of what it is. It is exactly what it set out to be, and that's why I love something. And now, the thing about Last Jedi is, and I always say this to people, it wasn't Rian Johnson that put Luke Skywalker in the position nobody wanted him to be in, which is on Achito hanging out doing nothing. Rian Johnson didn't do that. That was a card he was dealt, and he had to do something with it. I thought what they did with Luke in that movie, which might not have been what I wanted, but if you look at it for what it actually is, it's pretty interesting.
Yes.
And so it might not be the Luke I want, but it was the Luke I got. So if you look at the story and turn your perception and go, all right, rather than just hate this, what was he trying to do? And give him some credit for the work that was done. You might disagree with it, but it wasn't horrible. It just might not have been what you wanted the character to do.
Just at the end of the day, if you love something, why would you want ownership over it and to isolate it? You would want other people to love it as much as you do.
And can I add something too? There's also other mediums. If you're not getting the Star Wars you want from movies, maybe look into the books or the comics or whatever. You'll find something.
Or watch StarCraft.
Or there's audio things. I mean,
or go back to the stuff you loved. I agree with Ray.
Exactly.
It's not just movies. I believe every director has the intention of making a good movie. Like there's no other way. Like there's no way someone purposely makes like something that
even
people
Tommy
hate.
Wiseau set out to make a good movie.
I just think we all need to grow up to the point that we can watch a movie and think, I really dislike that, not for me, and still at the same time celebrated that other people did. Yeah. To celebrate that other people like something that you didn't does not undermine you or your position. That you like something that somebody else dislikes does not undermine you or somebody else's position. It's just like, guys, it's movies. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think there could be some kind of way that Rian Johnson could actually still do this trilogy? I think just this own discussion has proved that you can't, unfortunately, because the fandom isn't mature enough to handle it. And I think you're just inviting a lot of controversy and a shitstorm of stuff if you do. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But how do you guys feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This one comes from Vincent. I'm totally with you and Rob on the Henry Cavill thing. He was the best, but it's time to start DC over with a clean slate. But with that, we got to start talking about who the next Superman could be. Obviously, Gunn already has the next Superman movie planned out, so we shouldn't be too far away from some casting news. Who do you guys think will be the front runners for the next Superman?
All right, Vincent, thanks a lot for saying that in. And inevitably, obviously, for even before Daniel Craig, his last movie as Bond even came out, the discussions have been around who's the next Bond. Obviously, everybody's now talking, who's the next Batman? But now that we know that Henry Cavill, my boy, Henry, is no longer going to be Superman, the question, legitimate, is, well, who will be the next Superman? It's a fair question to ask because ideally, if everything goes right, and of course, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, but the plan is that whoever they bring in now, this is going to be our Superman for like a decade or more, and hopefully be one of the key parts of this entire DC cinematic universe that they're creating. So it's going to be key. Now, X actor and X role, whatever. But it is fun to sit back and say, well, who would be some people that would, like, I think there are many actors who would be great to play Superman. Many of them. I don't think there's only one choice out there. So I think there'd be many. So I thought it would be fun to take that question and go through it. So I have put together a list of 10. And these are, by all means, not exclude. This is like only these 10 could possibly be Superman. Not at all. I'm sure there's many others. But as I sat down and gave some thought to it, these are 10 of the names that came across to me. Now, a little bit of perspective here. They said they wanted a younger one. Obviously, they're not talking teenagers. We're not talking Smallville. So I decided to go 4 or 5 years younger than Henry Cavill. So I set an age limit of 35. And even 35 admittedly might be a little high, but I decided to set that as the absolute ceiling. The absolute ceiling on age for my picks are 35 years old. Because a lot of these guys who are 35 could easily, you could say they're 27 in a movie and I'd believe it.
Christopher Reeve was 28 when he played Superman.
When he first took over the role. So here are 10 names that I came up with, and then we're going to go over and get some of Rob and Chris's picks as well. And let's get into it, shall we? I'm going to start off with Sing Street's Jack Rayner. I mean, I think most of us who saw Sing Street fell in love with him there. He was actually one of the semi-redeemable parts of Transformers Age of Extinction, and there's not many in there, but he was really good in Midsommar. Some people pronounce it Midsummer, whatever you want to say. I always called it Midsommar. He was wonderful in that. He's got a great presence. He's got a powerful presence about him. He's a fantastic performer. He's really good. And I look at him and I think you give him the right hairstyle. Again, the look is not the most important thing to me. Hugh Jackman looks nothing like Wolverine. And look how that turned out. But he does have a great look about him. So I think Jack Rayner is one of those names. This, by the way, is in no particular order. No particular order. So Jack Rayner is one of them. My next proposal, Glenn Powell.
He's one of mine.
Top Gun Maverick, Devotion he just did. He was really solid in Hidden Figures. Not the biggest role in that, but a solid in Hidden Figure. He is a terrific performer. I mean, if you're looking for somebody who's, I mean, a lot of these actors will have to put on the weight and put on the mass for the role, but he's one of the guys that's already got it. Again, terrific performer. Great. He's got that Superman square jaw sort of thing going on. But again, most importantly, fantastic performer. He is up near the upper end of that age range. I said 34. But again, you tell me he's 27 in a movie, I totally buy it.
And he wears True Classic. Looks like it.
And he wears True Classic, one of the sponsors here. So Glenn Powell is one of the guys that I could totally see playing Superman. All right, next up, MacGyver, Lucas Till. Also, of course, he was Cyclops' brother. Why am I forgetting Cyclops' brother's name?
Polaris?
No, his brother. Why am I forgetting his name? Of course. Anyway, he's in X-Men First Class. Havoc.
Yes.
That was it. Havoc. He was in a terrible, they tried to give him a starring vehicle, no pun intended, a starring vehicle with that Monster Trucks movie, which was so bad.
So bad.
But that was not his fault at all. Again, you tell me this kid is 25 years old, I buy it. Anyway, he's 32 years old, solid performer, actor, good physique. He's got that, Kansas farm boy kind of look to him a little bit. Good performer, Lucas Till. So that was one of my picks. Next up for one of my picks of potential Superman. This one might surprise some of you. Aaron Taylor Johnson. First of all, he might be in the top 2 or 3 best actors on this list. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's got, again, superhero experience like some of them do with Kick-Ass. Of course, they gave him a lead in Godzilla. Godzilla wasn't great. A lot of people love him as Quicksilver. You didn't see that coming? They loved him as Quicksilver, been wanting to see him come back. He was phenomenal in Bullet Train. And you give him that hair, the little curl and stuff down like that, he's a world-class actor.
People are talking about him for Bond.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about him for Bond, which is very similar to Henry Cavill, who was Superman in almost Bond.
I think he'd be a great Bond.
Oh, he would be a great Bond. So Aaron Taylor Johnson is one of the guys on my list. All right. Next up, Zac Efron. He's got the right look. He is, I have been saying for 10 years, he is a tragically underrated actor, as a pure actor. If you want to see really how good this kid is, go and watch him in Orson Welles, Me and Orson Welles, which he's absolutely phenomenal in. Of course, and in Greatest Showman, he was so good. I think Greatest Showman is the movie that opened up a lot of people's eyes to just how good Zac Efron can be. And then I did not like the movie very much, The Greatest Beer Run Ever. I didn't like that movie very much, but he was wonderful in it. Obviously, this is a guy who comes physically ready to go.
Yep.
And this is just a picture of him from Baywatch. He's like twice this size now for that new the Von Erich movie. He's got where he plays a professional wrestler, right? So he's definitely got the physique, he's got the look, he's got the acting chops. Again, he's up at that
He's got the
ceiling.
face.
He's got the face for it for sure. He's at that ceiling age-wise. But again, sometimes you look at him and you say, yeah, I see a 28-year-old. I think it could work. But again, right up near the thing. So Zac Efron is one of my picks. All right. Brenton Thwaites from Titans. Now, I'm not a fan of Titans, but him playing Dick Grayson, I thought he played the role very, very well. Of course, he had that starring vehicle in that Pirates of the Caribbean movie. He was one of the was a royal kid in Maleficent. He's a solid actor. He's 33, but damn it, if you told me this kid was 19, I'd buy it.
But I thought he was.
Yes.
I was like, he's a child. He's 33?
33 years old.
Good for you, man.
Got,
great.
again,
Great genes.
physique-wise, I think he's a solid performer. He knows the world of the comic book superhero movies. He's already acclimated to be in the big blockbusters with things like Pirates of the Caribbean. He's worked with big, huge names like Johnny Depp and stuff like that. So that thing, he'd be ready for it. He wouldn't be intimidated by it. I think Brenton Thwaites, I should say, would be a pretty good choice for this. All right. Which one are we on now? We move on to Nicholas Hoult. Again, he might be the best actor on this list. This guy's going to have, before his career's done, he's going to have 1 or 2 Oscars on his mantle. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Again, he understands the world of comic book movies. He's been in some X-Men stuff. Everybody loved him in Mad Max Fury Road. He's wonderful in The Menu. He's absolutely fantastic in The Menu. And the one that really made me go, oh my God, this kid is fantastic, was Warm Bodies. That's one that really made me go, this dude is absolutely fantastic and incredible. Again, near the top of the age range, but at 33, and again, can pass for a younger reporter at whatever, no problem. So I think Nicholas Hoult. All right. My next one up is Michael B. Jordan. There's been a lot of talk about Michael B. Jordan doing a Superman project anyway. And that might be a project that might get scrapped, but James Gunn could look at it and go, but you know what? That could be you. You could do it. Again, at the ceiling for the age limit on this at 35. But again, there are so many age ranges you could throw out for Michael B. Jordan. Like when he's clean shaven, come on.
Yeah.
He looks really young when he's clean shaven. He brings the physique. He rocks the physique. Of course, he's black. He's not white. But a lot of people, let me give you a little crash course on comic book history. Superman is not white. Superman is an alien organism whose appearance kind of looks like he's Caucasian, but Superman is not white. He's an alien. You could simply say that alien was any cover. So color is irrelevant in this case. But Michael B. Jordan, maybe the second or third best actor on this list, Fruitvale Station. This is another guy that's going to have an Oscar or 2 on his mantle by the time he's done. And I think, my last one here is Jack O'Connell from Unbroken. Again, he's got a powerful presence. He was wonderful in that Western Godless. He was absolutely fantastic in that. Great look, great presence. He kind of acts a little Clark Kentish anyway, right there off the thing. So I think that guy would be a great choice. So 10 of my picks are Jack O'Connell, Michael B. Jordan, Nicholas Hoult, Brenton Thwaites, Zac Efron, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Lucas Till, Glenn Powell, and Jack Rayner. So those are some of the ones. Now, again, only a couple of mega names on there. Some of them are smaller names right now. Again, this is not an exclusive list. I think we could put together a list of another 30 names that if they named them as the next Superman, that works. So anyway, Chris, you saw my list. What are some names that you would agree with on here? Maybe what's some names that I didn't mention that you would think about?
I had Holt, Powell, and Jordan on mine as well, because those are all guys who I think would really, really do well in the role. Jordan's been tied to the role before, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, they've been talking about him developing a Superman movie. I don't know if that's happening anymore.
He really loves this character, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Again, has the physique and like kind of the gravitas too that you would want from this character as well. I just don't know if he can also then play the unassuming nerdy Clark Kent, because I feel like if Michael B. Jordan walks in a room, no one's like, oh, that sweet little guy Clark over there.
Well,
we're all going to go, hi, what? Oh, all right. I think Glenn Powell would do a really, really great job too. He's so charismatic. I think he's wonderful. Nicholas Hoult looks like the comic book character too. Somebody who I was thinking about additionally is David Cornsweet, who was in Hollywood.
Yes.
And GQ brought up a great point, and Logan
you know what? I had him on my list.
Okay, because he's only 29.
I had him on my list, and then I bumped him out, and I kind of regret it because I didn't love Hollywood, but he's really good. So good in
he's
that.
great in it, and he does have that kind of throwback kind of voice too. He's a very proper sounding gentleman. I do think there is kind of a wholesomeness and a naivete that Clark needs to have that I think he could bring to this as well. But Logan brought this up too. Do we for sure know this is a Clark story moving forward?
I think James Gunn is pretty committed to that.
All right.
So yeah, I don't think it's going to be one of the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice if Cavill still got to be Clark, but then we focus on, John is Superman, something like that. But I was just curious. Yeah, those are my guys.
Rob, what about you? What are some of the names that stand out to you?
Well, he's too old. He's 36, but I was thinking Scott Eastwood because he has the face.
Yeah.
And then I love this actor Dylan Minnette. He's only 20.
Oh yeah, doesn't he like play high schoolers? He plays teenagers.
He's 25.
Right.
And so what I was thinking about is I think he could look the part and sort of grow into the part. The problem is everyone's talking about, we don't want he can't be Superboy.
Yeah, this is a guy who's already an adult and already a reporter at a newspaper.
And Dylan, I had a lot of the people on your list, but Dylan Minnette was the youngest guy, but he kind of has, if you see him, he kind of has that quality to him. And I really like again, plays high school students most of the time.
Yeah.
But I think you could age him up a little bit and he could be a Superman type character because it really depends. I love the idea of a young cub reporter going to the big city, breaking in and being kind of a badass, and again, I think you need to go. I was thinking, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson a lot. I like him a lot for Bond. I like him a lot for Superman. But I really think but honestly, John, I think they should go with an unknown.
Pure unknown.
A pure unknown. No one, they need to Brandon Routh was essentially an unknown when they cast him.
He really was, yes.
And it was interesting because I saw all the audition. I think I still have them all the people that auditioned for Superman Returns. And it was a lot. It was a lot of people, and they were all good, but you knew them. And you're like, nah, because you couldn't help but see them in other roles. And I think they're going to go total unknown and discover somebody new. I really do. Because they need somebody who encompasses that mid to late 20s vibe.
All right, guys. Question is for you. There's going to be a lot of names over the coming next couple of months. And by the way, I think the person who wrote in the question is right. I don't think it's going to be a long wait to find out who they cast. I think James Gunn is going to move. I don't mean like this week we'll find out, but I think fairly soon we'll find out. But what are some of the names that we've all mentioned here that do stand out to you? Maybe what are some names that we didn't mention that you think could be good options as well? There's going to be a lot of them. So no right or wrong answers, guys. Go ahead and throw down your thoughts on this down in the comments section below. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth topic comes from Owen White. Hey, Campea crew. With Henry out of soups, it seems he's going to star and executive produce a Warhammer 40k series for Amazon. This seems perfect. Henry is a massive fan of Warhammer, and Amazon seems like the perfect studio because to do 40k justice, it needs to be expensive AF. Thoughts? My brother and my dad did all the little figurines and everything, but that's my only knowledge of this franchise.
I remember my buddy Rodney, for some of you who know me all the way back from the movie blog days, my buddy Rodney wrote on the movie blog with me as well. He got me into Warhammer 40k. And the problem with Warhammer 40k, it's an expensive hobby, man. It's an expensive time, or at least as expensive as you want to make it. But it's fun. I mean, Ann and I still go to a lot of gaming shops where they have the full tables all dedicated out with the structures and all that kind of stuff. Break out your measuring sticks and your blast radiuses and all that kind of stuff. Warhammer 40k is a really fun game. And Warhammer 40k is kind of like poker in the way that you can actually pick up on it really quick, but it takes a long time to get really good at it. And a lot of people, a lot of friends that I have get so into it, they buy the individual figures. They will go in and spend weeks painting their figures and all that kind of stuff. And one of the guys who is Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's been a Warhammer 40k gamer for a long time. He loves this game. He has dreamed about making Warhammer 40k. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how on earth you do it. Because they just said this thing would be as expensive as AF. Yeah, it's going to take Amazon money to make this kind of thing. Like, I don't know how you do it. This is going to be a really, really expensive thing. Anyway, this comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who wrote the following. Henry Cavill may not be donning the red cape, but he does have a cool new gig. The actor, who Wednesday officially hung up his Man of Steel cape after Warner Brothers announced it's going in a new Superman direction, is attached to star and executive produce a series adaptation of Warhammer 40k, the popular science fiction fantasy miniature war game that is set up at Amazon. Amazon is in the final talks now for the rights to the game. It looks like they're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's to secure the rights now. Amazon is in final talks for rights to the game, produced by Games Workshop after months of negotiations and fending off rival companies that also sought the rights. So, look, this is a bit of speculation here. But, you know, there was a lot of people, we've tried to debunk this as much as we can. Let people say, well, he left The Witcher to do Superman, and now he never left The Witcher to do Superman. No one anywhere that's not Henry, that is Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill never said, nobody ever said the reason he left Witcher was for Superman. We've tried to express that a lot. This is probably what he left Witcher for. I'm like, again, that's just me speculating. Don't take that as fact. Henry Cavill didn't say this, but you are going to a dream project of yours that you are going to star in and help shape and be the executive producer on. He could not do this and The Witcher at the same time. So my guess is, and if they're announcing this now, that means this has been in the works for a while. I'm guessing this is why he left Witcher and why he would. And if you want to know just how passionate Henry Cavill is about this, Jonathan, you can bring up my screen here for this. Henry Cavill got on social media and he wrote the following. He said, Henry Cavill wrote, "For 30 years, I have dreamt of seeing a Warhammer universe in live action. Now, after 22 years of experience in this industry, I finally feel I have the skill set and experience to guide a Warhammer cinematic universe into life." Listen to that. He's not just acting in it, he is guiding a Warhammer cinematic universe in life. Because I tell you what, he knows more about Warhammer 40k than anybody else working on this thing. Other than maybe Games Workshop, nobody else knows more about Warhammer 40k than he does. To guide a Warhammer cinematic universe into life, partnering with Natalie Viscuso at Vertigo has been a blessing beyond words. Without her, we might not have found the perfect home at Amazon. And having a home like Amazon will give us the freedom to be true to the massive scope of Warhammer. To all of you Warhammer fans out there, I promise to respect this IP that we love. I promise to bring you something familiar, and I endeavor to bring you something fantastic that is, as of yet, unseen. Our first steps to find our filmmaker/creator/writer. Watch this space, my friends, for the Emperor. You are never going to find a guy who is more passionate. You're not going to find a guy who is established in Hollywood who is more passionate, more excited, more devoted to something like a Warhammer 40k than Henry. Now, we have seen many times that just because you're a big fan of something does not mean you know how to make it into something good. We've seen that happen over and over and over and over again. But I cannot help but be thrilled for Henry on this. This is something he has dreamt about, that he has envisioned, that he has maybe probably thought he'd never get to do it. But now in the age of streaming, and you got people like Amazon who have like more money than anybody other than Apple. I mean, this is something, but again, how on earth they're going to be able to bring this to life it is going to be a feat. And listen, think what you want about the Lord of the Rings series at Amazon. Whatever you think about it, there are people who love it, people who hated it. That's fine. One thing almost everybody agreed on is they did not fail when it comes to production value. Like, you're not going to find many people, even those who hated that series. And there are those who did. I mean, there's a good number of those who did. Even amongst them, you'll go, oh yeah, but I'll give them that. It looked fantastic. And so you partner up somebody with the passion of a Henry Cavill, the star power of a Henry Cavill. You put it together with Amazon, who look like they're going to give him free reign and fund him to do it. This could be a lot of fun. Rob, there's probably, I'm going to venture a guess that maybe only 15% of the people watching the show have ever played Warhammer. But you got to be excited that you got a guy like Henry Cavill who's got something he's so passionate about. It's going to be this big, incredible, epic scope, Game of Thrones-like sci-fi extravaganza. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing about this report. What's your takeaway from it?
Bro. Okay, first of all, for those of you who want to see what a potential Warhammer 40k movie or series could look like, there's an incredible fan film, and forgive my pronunciation, called Astartes, Astartes.
I've not seen this.
It's incredible. Now, the plot isn't really there, but like these are the Warhammer gaming miniatures, well painted, and the armor and stuff like that. There are novels. There's so much material to draw from. By the way, Harlequin army is my army of choice. But this could be incredible, and the look could be amazing. I mean, it has kind of it's almost a cross between. The armor doesn't look modern. It has like the ships are like armored sailing ships. It's almost like a cross between something Leiji Matsumoto would do in Japanese anime and then World War I Germany in space. I mean, the look of it. I mean, huge citadel spaceship. It's awesome. I mean, it's awesome, and it could be visually, it could be different than any other franchise. And when you watch that Astartes movie, you see like, oh, this is something new. And anybody who plays the game knows, but there's so much backstory and so much stuff to draw upon. This could be an endless universe that continues on. I mean, I could see them doing a Game of Thrones series and then a House of the Dragon in the Warhammer 40k universe. It could be dope. And anyone who plays it, I mean, the people that I've met who play it, I mean, I used to work with this guy who, I mean, he had boxes of armies. And then when you have people come to the studio, they would set up massive, like you talked about the buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, like a football field.
This guy,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's stuff like that. I mean,
channel.
that's the kind of stuff that's it's insanity.
Yeah.
But
He
you
has
have
almost
to-
150,000 figures.
Yeah,
Dear
that's probably $150 million. I mean, the stuff that they make, it's so cool. The franchise is so cool.
I highly recommend, guy, if you know a buddy or two or are just looking for something really interesting to do one night, find a local game shop in your town. Find a local game shop, go down and check it out, and almost guaranteed they'll have the tables set up with the Warhammer environments and all that kind of stuff. It's impressive. Anyway,
Emerald Knights in Burbank has it.
well, yeah, there's several in the area that do. But anyway, Chris, you hear about this. Henry Cavill's doing Warhammer 40k. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, too, this is in a world that I'm particularly familiar with, aside from my brother and my dad really loving it, and then following Roll Colley's tweets about him painting stuff and doing it, which thank you for manifesting this so much for him. That was wonderful. He was joking on Twitter about how, like, he should have manifested something for himself, not Henry Cavill. But I think this is really, really great. You know, Henry Cavill is somebody who is secretly he's been climbing the ladder, becoming king of the nerds, right? Where we keep finding about him like making his own PCs and being so into Warhammer and loving The Witcher so much that he read the Polish series and those novelizations. You know, when he loves something, he loves it hard. And so I think this amount of passion behind it is going to be really, really stellar. People in the chat, I think the Richard were describing this, and tell me if this is kind of how Warhammer goes. Treasure Planet meets Starship Troopers.
That's a good. Yeah.
That's not bad.
By the way, I'm putting
That's
this
not
thing
bad.
in the
I'm bringing
live
in
chat.
then.
The
I'm
movie in
in.
the live chat.
Oh,
if you want
thank
to see
you.
that movie, it's
Perfect,
in the
perfect.
live chat now. But it's more than that. I mean, it's you know, they take all the different kinds of empires that have existed on the earth and the different. It's very political. And by the way, there's a weekly magazine that they publish.
Oh, wow.
That has painting tips and articles about the games and all that. But I did just
really
put
cool.
the short film in the live chat. It's pretty impressive.
Well, it's an immersive game because it's not just something you get together and play. Like you then spend your week assembling your figures, painting them, all like individualizing them, and there's a bunch of different races, and there's all this. It's pretty fun. Like there's a Star Wars. I'm trying to remember the name of the Star Wars. Me and Jeremy Johns used to play it, where it's a tabletop game and you get the individual ships, the TIE fighters and the X-wings. It's basically based on the mechanics of Warhammer as well.
Right.
But if you've played that basically finds its home from Warhammer 40k. I still remember one of my favorite lines ever when Henry Cavill was anointed king of the nerds when he made that PC assembly, that gaming PC
When he
assembly.
made that porn.
Yeah, and I still remember I think it was one of the female journalists at IGN. I think it was, don't hold me to that, but I think it was. But when he did that gaming computer build video, I remember she wrote on Twitter, like thousands of women across America spontaneously became pregnant from watching that video. It's like, he kind of became, and by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he told the story once about how he almost didn't answer the call that he got the Superman role because he was in the middle of a raid on Warhammer or Warcraft. He was playing Warcraft and they were raiding, and he's like, he saw that the call was coming from his agent. He wasn't going to answer the call. And then, I better answer it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you ever even heard of Warhammer 40k? It's not a mainstream popular thing like, say, a Pokemon is or something like that. But amongst like tabletop gamers, it's a pretty solid thing. Are you familiar with it? What do you think about Henry Cavill getting this? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we are now going to move into your live comments and questions. We're going to open up the super chats now. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, or question, observation that you'd like us to address, go ahead and start firing in that now. Do it quickly because we only leave it open for just a couple of minutes. Now, before we start addressing those, we're going to take a break here and thank a couple more of the great sponsors of our show. Making my ass all comfy, the folks at MeUndies, and of course, my mobile service provider, the good folks over at Mint Mobile.
The holidays are officially upon us, and it's time to start celebrating. Do your thing and holiday your way with MeUndies. Because it's the most wonderful time of the year to try MeUndies, because they're currently offering a very merry deal. Get 20% off your first purchase with free standard shipping and free returns when you go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, you know I've been wearing MeUndies for a while now because I used to be like everybody else. I would go to the big store, buy the biggest box of the most generic underwear, and I thought that was good enough. But ever since I started MeUndies and started wearing the most comfortable underwear I have ever worn in my life, I swear on this Christmas season, I will never go back. So get your holiday shopping finished early and start making time for yourself with the new MeUndies holiday collection. Their undies, long underwear, and sleepwear are made out of the softest, most supple fabric you've ever felt and are guaranteed to bring you comfort and joy to all of your loved ones. Shop their classic plaid prints for a traditional, picture-perfect style, or get festive with their adventurous limited edition sweater prints. Available in sizes extra small all the way through 4XL, MeUndies has what you need to make all of your favorite people smile this holiday season, all in one convenient place. So to get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Campea. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say it is the perfect time to switch. I have absolutely loved using Mint Mobile, and like I've told you guys many times, I am now spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend under one of the other major mobile carriers. And now with the whole buy 3 months, get 3 months free deal, it's even better. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.
And thank you to our friends at MeUndies and Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your super chats, shall we? Chris, what do we have in there?
We've got some support from Remy Alestra. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Remy. Again, following up, just sending in support just to be supportive. Thank you, man.
That's awesome. From Min, an out there suggestion for Superman, Grant Austin. He's a massive Superman fan, even bigger than Flash, and a great actor. Do you think him being kind of typecast as Flash means this will never happen?
It'll never happen. Yeah. I mean, look, you could also say the same thing about Brenton Thwaites because he is in Titans, because he's in Titans. So you could say the same thing, but
oh, Grant Gustin.
Yeah,
okay,
Grant.
Sorry,
I
I was
probably
like, who
didn't
is
mean
Grant
Austin. Probably meant
Okay.
Gustin. But no, I don't see it. Like, he was that role for 9 seasons. It was more popular than Titan was. I don't see it. Could you guys see Grant Austin or Gustin?
If he bulks up.
I still don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I again, the
And I
problem,
like him. I like him
He's
a lot.
great.
I just think that you've got to get TV actors transitioning to a role like that is a tough one. It's a tough call.
All right. What's next?
From Arse Gravy.
All right.
I hope the Warhammer 40k movie is based on the Space Wolf Ragnar series. Think 8-foot juiced up werewolf Vikings in power armor and a bad temper fighting orcs, xenomorphs, and demons in space. Take my money.
Well, remember, it's not going to be a movie. It's going to be a series. So it looks probably over the course of seasons, if the first one can be successful, they'll probably get to a lot of the different story arcs and storylines. I don't expect them to start off with something like that, but being a series, hopefully in each season, they might be able to cover 1 or 2 significant storylines. And then if that goes successful, then we can get into more. So I don't think you have to worry about too much. They could get around to it. Just don't expect it right out of the gate. All right, what's next?
From Blake62, what if Gunn took Cavill's cape but replaced it with a cowl? Come on, the DCEU needs a Batman. I know it won't happen, but it would temper my sadness.
Listen, when Henry Cavill put up his post about him not being Superman anymore, I actually commented on it. I said, come on, you're going to be the next Batman, aren't you? I mean, nothing would be funnier and more awesome. But because he is already, he's about to enter his 40s, I don't think they're going to start off with Batman in his 40s. So probably not. But I would not have put it past James Gunn to recast him as Batman. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw, safe to say that Cavill is to Warhammer as Mangello is to Dungeons and Dragons. This Warhammer series legitimately could be better than Lord of the Rings.
Well, look, theoretically, anything could be better than Lord of the Rings, right? Anything. You could do the movie on Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone with the right script, the right director, the right cast, everything could be better than Lord of the Rings. So sure, it could. But again, I need to emphasize this. Being passionate about something does not automatically mean it's going to be good. We've seen so many examples of people being super passionate about something and it ends up being just dreck. It doesn't hurt. Definitely doesn't hurt. I'm just more happy that Henry gets to do this, that he's at a place in his career that he can actually make this happen. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
From Chef Rigo. John, I tweeted James Gunn saying if he doesn't bring back Henry Cavill, I'll stop watching the John Campea Show. It's not looking good.
Well, yeah, but what if James Gunn wants my show canceled? Then you've just given him incentive to make sure he never comes on the John Campea Show. Yeah, so probably not the right move. Not the right move. All right, what's next?
From Suthius, while his acting was fine in Jupiter's Legacy, the way he looked as Paragon was cool. I'd love to see Andrew Horton try another superhero project.
I don't know who he is. I mean, Jupiter's Legacy was a really unfortunate thing because that
So disappointing.
Series, right?
yeah. That was the one with Josh Duhamel, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know which character. I don't know the actor off the top of my head, but that was a missed opportunity because it was a really interesting idea for a series. Like talking about these superheroes, they're older now. And so, the next generation, there was a lot of potential in that series. Unfortunately, it just kind of fell apart. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher, you have one F-bomb to put in Lord of the Rings. Where do you put it?
Oh, I know. Boromir. They have a fucking cave troll. That's where I put it.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's where I would put it. What about you? Where would you drop it?
Gimli on Helm's Deep.
But which part in Helm's Deep? That's a
When they're watching the orcs march toward the thing.
yeah, just in Scottish accent.
Gimli just standing there. He's long beat, just looking down, and he looks up at Legolas and goes,
That's it. Dragon 10 in the live chat says, "You shall not fucking pass." That's not a bad one.
I think you do either a second fucking breakfast. What about second fucking breakfast? Or Poe fucking Tatoes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, what's next?
From the OK Channel. With all this nerd love, I still have hope for a Magic the Gathering show Netflix was supposed to be producing. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, so Anne was working with Wizards of the Coast at that time when that whole thing was. That's why Anne and I got into we got into Magic the Gathering before she started working with Wizards. But I honestly don't know how you make that a show. I just don't know what you do to make that a show. Even with the basic premise of the game, but it's interesting you brought that up because I haven't thought about that in a while. That was supposed to be a thing, and then I haven't heard anything about it for a long time. By the way, Hasbro bought E1, that entertainment thing, but they've now spun it off. They don't have E1 anymore either. So I don't know what's going to happen with it though. As soon as I hear anything though, I'll let you know. All right, what's next?
From Magic K, Natalie Viscuso is Henry Cavill's girlfriend. She helped Henry get Warhammer happening. Is another level of proposal for love.
I didn't know they were involved. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for Henry.
They're
good
cute.
For them.
They're cute.
Making their thing together. I hope they don't get like halfway into it and then break up and then have to look at each other's faces every day working together. That's difficult.
I believe they were together during COVID. I feel like if you made it through COVID, you're probably pretty strong when you're just like stuck with somebody in your house.
All right, what's next?
From Talk and Entertainment with Josie, I was not excited for Avatar 2 because of the runtime, but darn it, from the opening music, I was teleported back to Pandora and had the biggest smile on my face during the final battle.
I mean, listen, the fan reactions, the audience response to the film speaks for itself. I mean, there are some critics that I guess aren't liking it. I mean, again, it's got an 80%, so that's pretty damn good. But that means 1 out of every 5 critics isn't liking it so much. But again, a 94th, the audience rating coming out of that, even at almost 3.5 hours. I mean, that's pretty. I'm just out of curiosity though, Rob, like, how was your audience? You told us about the one guy in the back, but how was the audience?
There was a huge round of applause at the end. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was, the funny thing about it is that movie just lulls you into, I think most of the people, when you're watching, you're just marveling at the whole thing. You're just watching going, oh my God. And there is, I mean, I read the Guardian in the UK, the guy who reviewed the movie The Guardian, what a dismissive, it's great. I mean, I can go on and on, and I won't.
Well, we're going to have to, I don't know if we're going to be doing I had planned on doing a spoiler discussion for it, but I haven't seen it. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know what the thing is? It truly is you could sit there and define the movie and talk about the movie and break down the story very quickly. You gotta see it. It's like the Matrix. You can't know what the Matrix is. You just have to see it for yourself.
All right. What's next?
From Elizabeth Horado, I would love for Glenn to get Superman, but I also see him as Human Torch if we don't get Joe Keery. Yes, Joe Keery.
Huh. Glenn Powell, I don't see it, but he's so good that he could probably morph into just about anything.
He's not the right age, but he has the attitude and charisma.
Yeah, right. All right, what's next?
From Yasmar Hidalgo, if the last 4 DC movies are a success with the box office, critics, and audiences, will this hurt James Gunn? Rebooting after some wins will be tough.
No. Look, I mean, we said it the other day. The tangible, indisputable evidence is right in front of you that in mass, the general movie going audience has not embraced the DC universe as it is right now. When you had 3 movies, like say Shazam, which was fantastic, didn't make $400 million. You had Suicide Squad, which might be the second best DC movie other than Man of Steel. Might be the second best DC movie. It was absolutely fabulous. Granted, it had a lot of extenuating circumstances surrounding its release, but even taking in those extenuating circumstances into consideration, it's still vastly underperformed. Then you had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, arguably the biggest movie star in the world, the most charismatic, electrifying man in entertainment today, and his movie Rampage made more money than Black. Again, I need people to wrap your heads around that. Rampage made more money than Black Adam. If you need, like, how much proof do we need that the general movie going audience just doesn't have faith in the DC universe?
The Harley Quinn movie didn't do well either.
Oh God, that was I did not like that movie. But I mean, so after Aquaman made its $1 billion and after Wonder Woman had its big thing, they haven't been able to replicate that. The proof is there. Now, we hear that this Flash movie is incredible. Great. But do we really think that Blue Beetle, and I'm excited for Blue Beetle, and it sounds like Warner Brothers got a lot of faith in it, but do any of us expect it to make $600 million at the box office? See, the problem is, even if, and it's not going to happen, but even if all the last 4 come out and big, but it's too late. Like, it's already rotting from the inside.
Right.
It's got to be redone. So we can sit here all day and say, well, what if the next ones win 18 Academy Awards and they all make $1 billion? It's like, okay, that's great and fun to speculate with baseless hypotheticals, but it's just, we've already seen it. The proof is there. The audience has abandoned the DCU. They need to restart.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's Batman, Superman, and the Justice League, and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 2, Justice League, and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice killed the DC universe. They didn't live up to the expectations the studio had, and those are the Trinity. It's the Trinity that didn't work, ultimately.
All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw, Cavill told that story on Graham Norton about him missing the call.
Oh, yeah, I think he's told it several times, but again, because you got to understand, I've played a lot of World of Warcraft. I've played an ungodly amount of World of Warcraft. So that's one of the things that made me a big Henry Cavill fan initially. Like, I felt the bonds of fellowship with him was over the whole thing about he was such a big Warcraft guy, but he's also a big Warhammer guy, and that's going to appeal to a lot of nerds, man. That's great. All right, what's next?
From TY, how soon will we see the first DCU solo Batman film? Will Gunn wait until Reeves is done? Also, chances we finally see Robin and the Bat family in the new DCU.
There's no. Because, listen, if the Batman is going to be a serious pillar in this new DCU, and we get a new Matt Reeves, the Batman movie every 2 to 3 years. Well, we're 4 or 5 years away from Robert Pattinson's trilogy being done. Minimum 4 or 5 years away from that being done. James Gunn ain't going to wait that long. So we're going to have a period of time where we're going to have a Batman, a very different Batman in a separate Matt Reeves isolated universe. And we're going to have a new Batman here. I expect they're going to move on Batman fairly quickly. Like, we're going to hear about things maybe even going into production by first quarter of 2024. Like, I don't think it's going to be that much longer after that. So,
I bet even before that.
You think even this year sometime?
I bet you will see the first of whatever this new movie is in fourth quarter of 2024.
I wouldn't bet against it.
They got to hit the ground running.
I wouldn't bet against that. All right, what's next?
From the Batman, who sends it a $50 super chat.
Thank you, the Batman, because I was
Whoa.
talking nice about the Batman. That's why.
Just between me and you guys, I love Warhammer 40k. 40k. Its lore is brutal, sad, and dark, like me. If Henry can't be Superman, I'd love to see him possibly as a Space Marine.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt he'll be a Space Marine. I mean, for those of you, the Space Marines, that's kind of your starting point. Like that's your main sort of thing, but there's a lot of different races and everything. And again, by the way, there's a lot of lore out there too. Like, there's a lot of novels on Warhammer 40k.
Tons.
I admit I've never read any of them. Just like I've only ever Like there's a ton of Warcraft novels too. I've only ever like read one or two at most. I don't really like that kind of stuff.
And the people, my friend Az, who I've streamed with before, he paints, he's like an expert Warhammer figure painter and paints characters for other people. And the people that are really into it, man, they're into it.
Dude, if you're good at that, just go on Fiverr.
Oh,
There are people who make good money just painting other people's Warhammer figures. I mean, if you're good at it, you can make some money doing that. All right, what's next?
You're gonna pay my Warhammer.
Oh, and by the way, the Batman again. Thank you so much for sending in a super chat that big to support us on that level, man. That's really generous of you. Thank you so much.
I just imagine him in the Bat Cave. I wonder who he gets to play with him. Warhammer.
Oh, you're talking play? Okay,
Batman.
That almost.
Jonathan Campea.
No, but I mean, if going
That
along
went in
with
a
his
direction
premise,
I was not
he
ready
said,
for.
He's the Batman. He says he plays because he likes it stark
Yes,
like him.
okay.
Who does the
Now I know
Batman?
what you're
I
saying.
now have an image in my mind of the Batman running a big Warhammer game in
Robin.
the Batcave. Who does he invite?
Yeah.
Robin.
All right. What's next? Alfred. That's right.
From In My Humble Opinion Reviews, solid list, John. I think O'Donnell would be great, but Rayner would be a fun pick too. I'd also throw in Richard Madden.
That was I should have thrown that. Was
Richard
on my list.
Madden's not a bad pick. Now, by the way, I didn't see anybody say this, but I'm sure I will in the comment section once the video goes up. There are going to be some people who say, well, like a couple of the picks, like say Zac Efron, maybe one or two. It's like, they're a little short to play Superman. Not wrong. But again, in a world where Hugh Jackman played Wolverine, it's not important. It's really not. I mean, look, if I had Zac Efron and Zac Efron's clone, and the clone was 6'4", then I would pick the Zac Efron. All the things being equal, I'd take the Zac Efron clone at 6'4". Sure, but the Hugh Jackman thing, it proves definitively beyond a shadow of a doubt. Michael Keaton as Batman proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. Well, while it would be nice to have them at the right height, it's actually not tangibly
You
that
just get him
important.
an apple box. He's fine.
Yeah, look at Tom Cruise.
Also, I could see actors that we didn't think of, like East Indian actors or even actors of Asian descent, maybe in the running to play an interesting version. I know we think of truth, justice, in the American way, but we could open it up to the rest of the world too.
Now, again, Superman is not a Caucasian. He's an alien organism. That's what he is. All right, what's next?
From Matt Boyle, Deadline has reported that Matthew Lillard and Josh Hutcherson has been cast in Five Nights at Freddy's movie. We were talking about this.
I got to tell you, I like both these guys. I was recently, my buddy Kyle Newman, who's doing the Dungeons and Dragons documentary with Joe Manganiello. Well, Kyle's been on our show before. You guys have seen him on the show. I was at the premiere of his new movie. I think it's called, I think the name of the film was One Up. I was at the premiere of it, and I'm standing in the popcorn line before the movie, and I realized I'm standing there with Matthew Lillard. And I was telling these guys before the show started, this is how you know you're getting a little bit older. Because we all think of Matthew from Scream and playing high school. Matthew was there in line for popcorn with his 14-year-old son. I'm like, yep, now I'm feeling older. But I love Josh Hutcherson. I think these are great additions. I've been excited about this Five Nights at Freddy movie for a long time. And to finally see it making progress, very exciting. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth, Avatar 2 in IMAX 3D was awesome. I like it probably better than the first. But damn you, AMC and Adam Aaron, for denying me the chance to meet John.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was supposed to be at the same theater. And again, look, I'm really pissed off at what went down. But again, it's technology. It's an app. The fact that I've used the app to see, without exaggeration, hundreds of movies, and I've never had that issue before, I'll give it a pass. It does suck though that maybe the biggest movie of the year, I missed out on seeing it because of a glitch they had with the app.
I will say though, if that happens next time, do go to the booth. They may honor it.
Right, but I just don't want to drive all the way out
And
there
find
just to
out.
get there to find out.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even get by the front because the first thing they say, show us your tickets. Like, I can't. Just take my word for it. I bought it.
John, I was at the theater last night, and the guy sitting next to me was clearly enjoying the movie as much as I was. And he must have been a viewer of the show, because when the movie was over and the credits were rolling, he tapped me on the shoulder. He goes, James Cameron did it again, didn't he? And then he got up and left. He didn't say hello or anything like that.
It'd be awesome if he didn't know who you were at all.
I hope
He
I
might
hope
have not
that.
known who I was, but it was a very familiar thing. And it was nice. I mean,
By the way, Chris is getting stopped out there in public now. Fans recognize her out in
Yeah,
public.
I had 3 people stop me at Disney. I had Omar, Daryl, and Gerald. Thank you for saying hi to me. You guys are nice.
All right.
You made me look really cool in front of my friends.
All right, what's next?
From Amin. Oh, thanks, bud. I don't think we fully understand how big of an opening weekend Barbie can have. There will be so many people going to see it just for the memes. LOL.
Listen, every once in a while, like I think most movies come out, and all of us, you guys, us, we get a general idea about how big we think it'll be. We get a little surprised here and there. But once in a while, a couple times a year, there's a movie coming out where we go, I have no idea. If you came from the future to me and told me the Barbie movie opened to $9 million, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you also came back to me from the future and said the Barbie movie opened to $110 million, I also wouldn't be surprised. I honestly have no sense of how this movie's going to do opening weekend. Like, again, granted, they haven't even really started their marketing campaign yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know, Chris, is this going to be a big movie?
I think it has the potential to be. We've all freaked out about everything that's been released so far, you know? And even if it is just for the memes, I think a lot of people are going to go just to see what the hell this movie is.
Yeah.
It's got a incredible cast. Like you were saying, you know, Greta Gerwig isn't a phenomenal director who's Academy Award nominated multiple times. I think we all want to see what the hell this thing is.
I think so too. I mean, I do. I'm just curious to see, how do you turn that into a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it going to be some weird social satire living in some perfect society that collapses?
Well, it
on
looks
itself?
very conceptual, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
yeah.
Barbie, ticket watch.
take a watch. Barbie, Ray will do that one solo. He's going to have enough to
Ray
do.
will go see
Campea
Barbie.
Channel presents a fan screening of Barbie.
72-hour ticket watch.
I love it.
All right. What's next?
From AK Anomaly. Oppenheimer teaser last night had my arm hair standing like I'm Spider-Man. Can't wait.
Yeah, I heard it
looks
leaked
great.
online, but I've not seen. Did they play the Oppenheimer thing? How'd it look?
And like Jonathan said, it made me. You know what's so funny? It's a trailer about a scientist who creates the atomic bomb, like historical and all that. But it felt like you're watching. Did they show? It felt like you're watching something of monumental importance, you know. And then suddenly there's Matt Damon talking to Cillian Murphy, you know, and it just felt like Matt Damon's like, they're going to make me a general for this. It's just like, I can't wait to see it.
All right, what's next?
From Hero75, sorry I don't see Henry Cavill as the star in a 40k show. However, if he played Horus the traitorous Primarch and a villain, main villain, then yes.
I don't. Listen,
Maybe.
it's all subjective. Of course it is, absolutely. And your opinion on this is no less valid, no more valid than mine. I don't know how you look at someone like Henry Cavill and think there's something he can't play. Like, yeah, he could. He could be just about anything you want him to be. He could do it, and he's got the chops to do it. I mean, especially since I don't think I was wrong when I said, I think probably only about 15% of the people watching the show, maybe less, have ever played Warhammer 40k, let alone read any of the lore and the story and all that kind of stuff. So it won't matter to the audience. You can put him in any role, and I think he'll do just fine. Just fine. Oh, we'll see, though. All right, what's next?
From Brandon Torres, Rian is a great director, and Last Jedi is my favorite of the new trilogy.
Oh, wow.
But it split the fan base in half. It's been toxic ever since.
Listen,
It was already toxic.
It really did. And listen, and as a big Rian Johnson fan, I have some serious issues with The Last Jedi. Overall, I still like it. I mean, in a thumbs up or thumbs down world to me, there are parts of The Last Jedi that I love, but I also have some pretty big issues with the film as well. But look, regardless of whether you're a big Rian Johnson fan or not, there's no getting around. You know, I said a little bit earlier, like whether you loved or hated the Rings of Power series, we all agree that the production value, the visuals of it looked amazing. It was visually very, very impressive. Whether you liked The Last Jedi or hated it or loved it, there is no denying that movie is incredibly divisive. It's incredibly divisive. And you can put the blame wherever. You can say the blame is here, the blame is there, the blame is on this person, the blame is on these. It's irrelevant. The bottom line is the film was incredibly divisive. And if you have Rian Johnson, regardless of how good he is, if you have Rian Johnson back to do more Star Wars. That's all the story is going to be. That's it. There's no getting around that. And it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. All right, what's next?
From Jay, one of two. What were some of the pop culture verses that you can remember growing with that you were heavily involved in?
That's all I got on that. So
I'm not sure I understand what Jay's talking about. Was there a part, but there's no part two?
no, that's it.
Oh,
What are some of the pop culture verses that you can remember growing with?
Like universes.
Universes?
Universes?
That makes sense.
Universes? I mean, the only one really for
Star
me
Wars for
was
you,
Star
right?
Wars. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's it. My earliest childhood memory is my mom showing me Star Wars. So, I mean, and maybe also to a degree Battlestar Galactica, because I got into Battlestar Galactica because I could watch on TV and they had reruns all the time, and it was Star Wars light, but
I mean,
it was Star Wars for me.
yeah, for me, it was early before Star Wars. There was Star Trek, and there was the Jerry Anderson stuff like Space 1999 and UFO. I got into those because they made toys. You know, when they made toys, you could play and recreate your own adventures. And then Galactica as well, but then Star Wars changed. Planet of the Apes
All right, yeah.
was a big one because, again, that existed. And superheroes because they
Yeah.
made, you know, there was animation, there were the comics, and then Mego action figures.
By the way, Chris, you're going to be very proud of me
why?
that I know this
Why?
story. But you like them Pokemons.
I love the Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Now, I know nothing about Pokemon, but I do know this, that the central character of Pokemon is, and always has been,
Yes.
Ash. Even I know that.
Ash Ketchum.
I
from
just
Pallet Town.
read
Ash
that
Ketchum on eggs.
after 20-something years, Ash is going to be gone,
Yeah.
and the Pokemon story will no longer revolve around Ash. They're going to bring in a new character, a new trainer. It's not going to be Ash anymore. Good
Pokemon, the
idea
new
or bad
class.
idea that they're doing this?
Honestly, I understand why they're doing it, and I think it's a potentially great idea because we've had Ash for 2 decades, almost 3, and he's a champ now. He's done what he needed to do in the world we have a Pokemon. We've also seen the other old characters pop back up again, Brock, Misty, all those folks, and we've got 2 new trainers who we're going to go on our journey with now. It's going to be delightful.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that and Sailor Moon were my big fandoms growing up.
Just so there's no confusion, I still don't care, but I knew that.
You care deep down.
All right, what's next?
From Myth Yander, should Avatar 2 have an intermission?
Look, it's the same debate and discussion. Avatar 2 is a great example of this. Yes, I believe movies over 3 hours should absolutely have an intermission. Now, I didn't get to go see it. Thank you, AMC app. I didn't get to go see it, but I know that I would have missed a couple of minutes of the movie. And that sucks. If there was an intermission, I wouldn't. So, I mean, we've had this debate a lot. We will have the debate more, I'm sure, moving forward. But I absolutely think that movie should have an intermission. But I think any movies over 2 hours and 45 minutes or longer should have a brief intermission. But that's just me. I know a lot of people agree. I know a lot of people disagree. All right, what's next?
Oh, Jay has the second part here. He was talking about Nintendo versus Sega, Star Wars versus Star Trek, DC, Marvel, those kinds of things.
Oh.
Of those battles, and if you still fight those today. I know.
No, for me growing up, it was never one against the other. We just loved things that we loved.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you were a Star Trek fan, because it existed before Star Wars, when Star Wars came out, it was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
There was no battling between those. Everybody liked, every franchise was cool.
We've talked about it a little bit on Heroes of just like, I'm more Marvel and you're more DC, but it doesn't mean I dislike DC. I just grew up with more Marvel.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I would battle with kids it was Silver Surfer more powerful than Superman? That was it. It was only Marvel versus DC, but you still collected both comics.
All right, what's next?
From The People's Champ 2007. Are you guys a big Gears of War fan? And what's your excitement level for the movie that they're planning of it?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to lie. I'm not. I don't play the games, never have played the games, but I'm familiar with the basic premise and story of the game. And any movie that's based on that, something like that, yeah, I'm pretty curious. Again, not as much as like, say, a fan of the game would be, because you're going to see this property that you love so much being brought to life, but just the basic premise of it sounds exciting to me. So I'm looking forward to it.
I agree.
Have you played the games?
I
never have.
I haven't.
I have not.
I have lost so many years of my life to that game.
Really?
Gears of War was like Coke for me in high school, honestly. Diet Coke. But I was obsessed. There are guns with chainsaws attached to them. I don't know if you guys know about this. You would chainsaw them and then shotgun them. Oh, man, so good.
All right, what's
Dang.
next?
From Dildar. Years down the line when the DCU ends, they should adapt All-Star Superman to kill him.
I don't remember All Star Superman.
That was a good.
It was a good series.
Yeah.
I mean, but why would you want to kill Superman?
It's like after we've
Go to Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Do that.
And when they do kill Superman, they just bring him back anyway. So
Exactly. No
it
one's
doesn't
permanent.
really matter. And is that it?
Yeah.
And guys, that'll do it for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Guys, may you have a wonderful weekend in front of you, filled with relaxation and enjoyment, whether you need to hang out with some people or just get some well-deserved me time. Whatever it is, I hope you have a great time. So make sure you guys come back and join us next Monday for the return of the John Campea Show. I think I'm going to be doing a Ask Me Anything on Sunday, as I have been doing recently. And guys, make sure you run and subscribe to those podcast feeds, both the John Campea Show podcast feed and our After Show podcast feed, because Monday will be the first audio only. It's exclusive to our podcast feed, my After Show for 1923 with Harrison Ford. So make sure you go and check that out. So for everybody in the room, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, the wonderful, recognized everywhere she goes, Chris Carr, Ray Ora's back there, Jonathan Voico running the show, Taylor's back there as well. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.